decisions this man is making.
It's Monday morning. We're in the yard. Gone and found myself trying to value engineer and solve a problem without spending any money. We've got a trusty old printer upstairs. It would have been extremely expensive in its heyday, but its heyday is long gone. It will cost more money to fix the printer upstairs than it will to buy a new one, which is smaller and a lot more efficient. However, I do have this printer, which has been sitting at home doing nothing. And as the plastic cover is still on the LCD screen, I believe it's new. So I'm gonna try and take this one up and then get that gigantic one out of the office upstairs and then try and connect it and hope it works. And then hopefully I haven't got to spend any money. Good morning, who has a radio on them? Good morning, who has a radio?
I have one. Morning, Daddy.
Let's have a meeting over by the offices. Thank you, over, see you in a minute. I know I'm not meant to say over, but I say it anyway. Makes me feel like I'm advancing with my flying lessons, which I am not in the slightest at the moment. Got a Volvo tipper parked up down there, which is not going out today. It went in for an inspection. That one is not on full R&M, and Volvo let us know that a couple of the spring bushes were worn, but within tolerance. So we've ordered 2 spring bushes here, and that is going down to Paddington Springs first things tomorrow for repair. And if you look over there, you'll see we got a Scania tipper parked up, but Scania Road Assist are coming out to have a look at that because it's got a bad air leak. The leak is coming from the air dryer, which regulates the air pressure and is a filtration system that removes water and oil from the compressed air before it reaches the braking system. Ours is exhausting continuously, and the problem seems to be the brain. This is replaced, and while we're here, for good measure, we fit a new filter as well. We drop the cab back down, fire her up to build up the air, and we're good to get back out on the road. We're gonna head into central London to the penthouse project, which should be a big week. We have a delivery of the tiles for the bathroom coming later in the week, and we're gonna start waterproofing works to tank the bathroom floors. On the walls in the shower area and the entire floor, the joints between the Jacko boards and fixing screws have been filled with tile adhesive to seal and create a smooth finish for the waterproofing tanking system. We apply a primer to the areas to close the pores and prepare for bonding with the next layers. Once this is dry, we apply a liquid membrane to all corners and jointing tape, which reinforces the joints, adding an additional waterproofing barrier along the seams. Then we fill the area between with more liquid membrane, which when dry will create a waterproof barrier. Meanwhile, back at the Ashville yard. A delivery has arrived. Mumsy will be most happy. You saw on Christmas Day, she was kicking off about only having 1 copy of Rail Director that her boy was in. Well, Rail Director saw it and they have come good. Nice. Hello Daniel, hope you're well. We saw your YouTube video last week and wanted to make sure you have more copies of Rail Director to show everyone. Maybe your mum could even have her own copy. Take care from everyone at Rail Business Daily. Well, thank you Rail Business Daily. I can tell you Mumsy is going to be most happy. See, we're not using the wheel wash at the moment. We're waiting for some ramps so we can get up onto the wheel wash, Put out another SOS on Instagram today. Hopefully someone sends me a message. I need something second-hand, not brand new, because this is only temporary, because eventually all of this is going to be concreted. You can see we're washing off the lorries out the front. Let's jump in with one of the lads and go out on a job and see how they're getting on. We're out with Gurdit and an 8x4 tipper on a muck-away job at a new build site. Parts of this material look acceptable for processing to create recycled aggregates, but it's mixed with muck and clay, which means the entire load is no good for anyone and needs to be taken to a licensed disposal site. It's 6 p.m. I'm just leaving the yard, and today I managed to escape the majority of the day without anybody knowing it was my birthday. Not in the mood for merrymaking, and I won't be celebrating because there's still some key matters that need to be resolved at work. And when you spend all your time at work and it's extremely important to you, it makes it difficult to switch off and do anything else. So a couple of the people in the Ashville team realised, but when they came to wish me happy birthday, I asked them not to say it to anyone else, because it in fact is not a happy birthday, but I do need to be thankful. I do have my health, and health is wealth. And my birthday realisation is that if you look at life kind of like a computer game, the character that's always trying to move forward to the next level is always the character who is going to face the most challenges. That's just part of the plot. Or how else would that character make its way through and clock the game? You know, when you find justification in your mind to help you sleep at night and get through what's going on, which is what I need to do at the moment. I was told by a friend of mine today that a customer of ours, they were somewhere and they heard them mouthing off, saying things about us, saying some quite negative things which weren't accurate. And it's a client that we gave a credit account to when no one else would. What can you do? The game's the game. Don't take it personal. If you try to understand and justify what people do, you'll end up driving yourself mad. All you can do is just try to get some sleep at night and attack it hard in the morning, which is what I am going to do. And that's it for my birthday and Monday in the yard. The Volvo tipper is down at Paddington Springs getting 2 new Springbushes fitted. The Springbushes are rubber components that are used to connect the ends of the leaf spring within the suspension system on the lorry. They act as a pivot point for the leaf spring to move against the chassis, providing cushioning and allowing the leaf spring to flex smoothly while reducing vibration during movement. Paddington Springs do this all day, every day, so make light work of an incredibly difficult and physical job carried out in a tight space. It all happens so quickly, it feels like an F1 pit stop. We have a plan. I reached out, and my good friend Michael O'Donovan is obviously exaggerating, but he is helping out.
Should get you out of trouble for a while. Just wants a little bit of work done, just that little bit there.
There you are. See what I've done for you again? Helping you again. With that ramp, it should mean that we can remove all of the recycled material which is in front of the wheel wash, which the lorry wheels are dragging into it, which is making it fill too quickly. So we have to keep shutting it down, cleaning everything out, and then putting it back on, which is downtime. It doesn't matter because we're still washing off the wheels manually at the front gate, but if we can move all of this material and just have a steel ramp, it should limit the amount of times we need to do it. Before we do that, there's a problem with the alternator belt on the tyre van. We can't find anyone to come here to repair it, so Ben is going to load the tyre van onto the back of the flatbed. He's going to drop it to a garage, and then once he leaves there, he's then going to head over to Michael and collect the ramp and bring the ramp back to the yard. The yard is flat out busy today. Some of our industry friends and supply partners are coming in to deliver material and collect recycled products.
Once again, Daniel, Haley Plum to the rescue again. Once again, Daniel.
While in Michael's yard, our cameraman Luke spotted our old skip lorries, and I reminisced for a couple of minutes and then realised that I don't actually miss the skips in the slightest. And it's getting more and more difficult to get rid of the waste from skips, and it's getting more and more expensive. And unless you're a skip operator focused on volume with your own transfer station and pickers and outlets to get rid of all the material, to bring it in volume and get rid of it in volume, there's not really any money in it. Now, we were doing it to serve clients who used us for concrete grabs and tippers, but there was only so long we could keep it up because we weren't actually a skip firm. We had 2 lorries and about 60 skips. So, I think the decision was made for the best. In the past, I've regretted getting rid of lorries, the Arctics. I regretted that for a while. I don't actually regret it anymore with the way things are in the market at the moment, but I currently do not regret the decision to sell the skips and the skip lorries. We looked after them well. We provided a really good home for them. They're a top spec. They had full Scania R&M, so hopefully they can be as good to Michael as they were for us. Compliance, compliance, compliance. I just had another Zoom talking about compliance and more that we need to do in the way of paperwork. And as I sit here, I think to myself, the longer I've been in business, the more compliance we've had to do and the more time we spend doing it. Now, I get it. Some levels of compliance keep people safe, because that's the most important thing. Like, we all want to go home at the end of the day, but it comes a point where in a business of any size, where you end up doing so much compliance and spending so much money doing it and going on so many courses, you begin to ask yourself, where does the money come from to pay for this? If I've got to send people on courses, I've got to go on courses. They've got to interact with other people. There are all these agencies and governing bodies. We need to pay them for subscriptions and we need to send them paperwork. You end up creating a role within your business with a person who only reports to other people and keeps paperwork. And you have to do it because you never know when you're going to have a surprise inspection and somebody's going to come in and demand that paperwork. And if you haven't got the paperwork, they may try to shut you down. So where's the money going to come from? Because the price that you get for a load of material, or the price to take some muck away, or the price for a skip, not that we do them anymore, is actually less than we were getting 6 or 7 years ago. And I understand on large-scale infrastructure projects like HS2, you are going to need an extraordinary amount of consultants, especially when there's government spending which needs to be monitored. And a bit like the Robert De Niro film Casino, the card dealer is watching the player, the manager is watching the card dealer, the floor manager is watching that manager, the casino manager is watching the floor managers, and Robert De Niro is watching the casino manager, and the eye in the sky watches them all. But down here at this level, the purse strings are a lot tighter, and everything comes from generating revenue. So where is that money going to come from, and is it making a difference? I don't actually have the answer to the question. I'm just throwing it out there. Anyway, let's head back to central London, where we're continuing with the tanking, and we're going to start the underfloor heating and self-leveling compound. We're repeating the tanking you saw us do earlier in the week, this time on the small niche in the shower area. Now the floor is dry and sealed, we roll out the electric underfloor heating mat, which sticks to the floor with its own self-adhesive tape. We don't fit any under the toilet, as that is not an area where anyone's going to stand, and in total there are 1.5 square meters of underfloor heating in this bathroom. We then fit timber battens to the floor to isolate the area which needs to be leveled. Of course, this does not happen in the shower area, as the floor slopes towards the waist. The self-leveling compound is a 2-component system which is mixed and then applied. The self-leveling compound does exactly what it says on the tin, flowing and leveling itself out through gravity to create a smooth, flat and level surface. It will take 24 hours to dry and will be ready for tiling. I'm having a lock-in, and not the lock-in like you might have at the pub that you might enjoy and get home extremely late and fall out with your other half. Hey! Put my car on the outside of the gate and I've closed up. Hey, the lights are working, because it's going to be a very late night for me. I just love those lights. The ramp, as you can see, Ben delivered earlier. We're going to take a look at that tomorrow, but we've got so much work to do in the yard with this rain. We have to ensure that the yard is safe. When you start to see puddles like this, you can't actually tell what's within the puddles. So we're going to have to use the machines, use the sweeper, start moving material, make a couple of buns. It's really affecting us at the moment, not doing the concrete in, but we don't have the time or the resource to do it at the moment. Last couple of months, you can tell and you can see that I have been under the cosh. I am still under the cosh, but we did have some news towards the end of the day which made me take a deep breath. It was not a sigh of relief, because there's still a hell of a long way to go, but it was news that I was waiting for, which is part of our restructuring, what transforms us from one format, shaking hands amicably with one party, moving over into the new world and having a facility which enables us to have the resource to run the business day to day and plug a couple of cash flow, minute issues. I am really happy about it, even though I can't show it. I'm struggling to show it because I'm so exhausted. But the trouble is, whenever something good happens, I kind of squint. And it's like when somebody says something nice, but they're normally mean to you, so you don't know if you should say thank you or you. That's kind of how I feel. I've got some good news, but I always remember that thou giveth and thou taketh. I'm not going to celebrate. What I am going to do is take a deep breath and sit down and do the work I need to do with a little less pressure to ensure it goes through and our transition is smooth and we can see light at the end of the tunnel. Why did I stand in front of the traffic light? My face has gone all red. So I'm heading up to my office to, I wouldn't say enjoy, but for a productive lock-in. And that is it for Tuesday. Wednesday morning, we're in the yard. We've removed the material from this area and we're going to drop the ramp down just to see what it looks like here and then remove it again and do a bit more infrastructure work underneath it. I don't want to completely take the material down here because this will sink down at some point with the weight on it, but the granular material that we packed in, you saw us put in a few weeks ago, it does feel relatively solid. Let's see how we get on. Put the ramp in place as a test run, did not like the height of it at all, so we're pulling it out and we're excavating down a little bit further. And while this is happening, we brought the tyres down from the tyre area at the top and we're repairing them over in front of the bagging plant, and Volvo have popped in because we have a problem with the side lights on one of the tippers. There was some tyre equipment going for sale, which would enable us to remold, so basically refurbish our tyres and put new tread on them, which would save us an astronomical amount of money long term. And we could probably provide the service to others locally. And I was offered it and I said, no chance. That goes to show how much I have changed. There was a time when anything like that you would have put in front of me, I would have said, yep, let's do it. And I would have found a way. I would have been concreting an area. I would have been running power. I would have been installing it, learning how to use it. This is how much we're going to save over this period of time. When we grow, we'll save even more. Put the infrastructure in now. So we pay now, but we'll pay a lot less later. No way. And then when I look back on that Daniel and all the money he was spending, I think the decisions this man is making. Whenever something like that pops up now, I now think to myself, liability, what's going to happen? Who's going to look after it? Who's going to use it? What happens if that person leaves? What are the health and safety implications? How long does it need to be on for a day before we're actually making money out of it? How long is the return on investment? Perhaps the weight of the world and what's happened in the last 18 months has changed me. Because the answer is absolutely not. Will we be buying tyre equipment and bringing that in-house and creating a new business line called Ashville Tyres? No way. People say it. They say,
God, if you give me one more chance, just give me one more chance, God. I never do it again.
I am not going to waste my chance. I am not going to make those decisions anymore.
It's Thursday, and at the moment, I'm not in the yard. I'm on the road again. Just left a meeting in North London. One of those exciting meetings. You never know if anything will really come of it, but it's always promising when someone has climbed to the next level and they've left a ladder for someone else to come up, and they haven't gone to that next level, swallowed a dictionary and decided they don't know anything or anyone who is previously in the position which they were. In the bathrooms at the Central London Penthouse project, we have a delivery of tiles. The delivery of tiles was so heavy, it couldn't come in one delivery, so they've had to split it into two. And there are two tiles which are so big, they cannot go in the lift, and the lads are going to need to carry them up the stairs. Now, the lads are petrified that in doing that, they may damage one, because if they do, it's going to be astronomically expensive, and that is not the client's fault. That is going to be completely down to us. I can't get there to help because I'm on the other side of London. Hopefully the lads get on okay and get the tiles upstairs.
It's all hands on deck. Normally when lifting large format tiles, we use a few handled suction cups. But these are so oversized and traveling so far through tight spaces, we've decided to use a suction system on extendable rails to give us more control and increase stability. We need to go up 6 flights of stairs while ensuring we do not damage any of the communal areas. The most likely part of the tile to collide with the wall are the corners, which also happen to be the weakest parts. That's one down and one more to go. And delivery number 2 has arrived with our 1.2 by 1.2 meter tiles, which are not small, but smaller in comparison to the 2 we already brought upstairs. First, we ensure we bring them inside the building so we don't obstruct the pavement and allow the delivery driver to leave. And thankfully, these fit in the lift. Task complete and not one tile damaged. Good work, lads. Doing a bit of maintenance on the roll-on roll-off today. Give a little blast off at the gate, got it nice and clean. Now we have to go through all the hundreds of grease points on it to ensure that everything is lubricated well. But you can't find it when you have the hook sat flat. You have to actually lift it out to get to some of the grease points on the rams, cylinders, and wear parts. That should be turning, that's no good. We need to see it here. Yeah. I can slowly see it coming through. Seized. That's solid, man. We need to free this until we see the grease coming through here. This has got to move. Washed the dumper and greased it. It's going out for hire on Monday. It's Friday and we're in the yard. Had some feedback from the refurbishment project. We have a render of a proposed design for the snug. However, we need to make a couple of changes because we do not have the depth in the wall to put the media cabinet in place through the entire wall. If you have a look at this drawing here, you can see where the bay window starts. Because of the small nib in the wall, you can't have a deep media unit. So we've suggested to the client to redesign, but it's going to be a little bit like the walk-in wardrobe, which we built a long time ago, long before we were doing videos. And I don't think Jack Wilshere, who former Arsenal player, is going to mind me telling you this is his walk-in wardrobe. If you look on the corners, you can see that the shelves are angled. If the media unit was designed in that way, then it would probably work with the bay window. We have a meeting with the client on Thursday of next week to try and push the project forward. Excellent. Got a few loads of recycled 6F5 to deliver into this site today. Our space is limited. With the help of a banksman, we maneuver at the entrance and reverse down to the tipping area. As one leaves, another is ready to do the same. Our tyre van has had the once over, and the problem is found, and the problem was the belt on the aircon compressor. Because these vans all electrical, once a belt goes, it stops the power steering from working, unlike the lorries. That has now been fixed, and the tyre van was ready to come back. But we are not going to bring it back. We're checking the brakes, we're giving it a service, and we also are looking through the service book to see when the main, is it the cam belt? Anyway, we're checking to see when the belt was changed, because while it's in the workshop, we want everything fixed 100% before we go and collect, and it makes its return back to the yard victorious, like Achilles when he was dragging Hector's body with his horse behind after he punched him up in Troy. That's pretty much it at the moment. The time now is 1:47. I'm going to head up to my office for a Zoom at 2 o'clock. It's Saturday. We're in the yard. And we're working on the weekend like usual. We don't have any lorries out today, but of course, as always, on a Saturday, we have plenty to do to prepare for Monday. I've always tried to not make decisions when I'm angry. I'm furious! Because your judgment is clouded, and more often than not, you make the wrong decision. But I also try to not make decisions when under duress and under pressure and forced to do it, because once again your judgment could be impaired. Unfortunately, in real life it isn't possible to always have that luxury. So when your back is against the wall, you sometimes need to make decisions when your judgment isn't 100%, which means that you could possibly make a decision that isn't possibly the best decision. But you may have no option, and time may be against you, and you may need to make a split-second decision. As I said a couple of weeks back when I was in the car ranting, sometimes the decisions that you've made in the build-up to that particular decision, those decisions put you in the position where you had to make a decision while under pressure. It's always difficult to know what to do, and as a human being or a business owner or in life, when you are in uncharted territory and you've never been there before, and nobody around you has been there before, or you don't want to share the experience with them, the first time round, you may not make the correct decision. But if you're ever in that position again, you won't, well, hopefully, you won't make the same bad decision twice. Or if you made a good decision the first time, you may find a way to even improve that decision further the second time round. And I guess that's why they say experience is invaluable. That's it for the philosophical Daniel catch up on a Saturday. Cue outtakes. You tell me when? And now we're going to head into central London to the penthouse, which I need at the moment. Which I need it. Guess why? No. Obviously, Michael is once that is done. Come on. Come on. I don't know why that collision warning came on. I wasn't about to collide with anything. Try not to make decisions when you're under duress. Yeah, stop filming, that's it now. And that's it for Ashville Weekly episode 226. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click down here for an Ashville video you may not have seen before, and click down here for last week's episode, which was number 205.